At this point, that is certainly not in the plans.
And what would it take to get that conversation back to the table, to reconsider a meeting between the two leaders?
Well, de-escalation. That's what it would take.
How do you define that?
De-escalation means moving troops. It means de-escalating from what the steps they continue to take on a daily basis appear to be. Well, we're never going to completely close the door to diplomacy.
That's why this is the greatest threat to security in Europe since World War II. Ukraine is in danger. President Putin is blatantly and violently breaking the laws and principles that have kept the peace across Europe and around the world for decades. Last week, I agreed to meet Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov this week, on February 24th, to discuss our country's respective concerns about European security, but only if Russia did not invade Ukraine. Now that we see the invasion is beginning, and Russia has made clear its wholesale rejection of diplomacy, it does not make sense to go forward with that meeting at this time. I consulted with our allies and partners, all agree. And today I sent Foreign Minister Lavrov a letter informing him of this. The United States and I personally remain committed to diplomacy if Russia is prepared to take demonstrable steps to provide the international community with any degree of confidence that it's serious about de-escalating and finding a diplomatic solution. We will proceed in coordination with allies and partners based on Russia's actions and the facts on the ground. But we will not allow Russia to claim the pretense of diplomacy at the same time it accelerates its march down the path of conflict and war.
As we see a rise of authoritarianism around the world, as we see challenges increasingly to democracies, to democratic principles, we need to all stand strong in defense of those values and principles. And if Putin thinks it is in his interest to invade another sovereign country, we have to demonstrate to him that it is not in his interest, that he will not come through this better or stronger. So today, in coordination with allies and like-minded partners, Canada is announcing a first round of economic sanctions. We will ban Canadians from all financial dealings with the so-called independent states of Luhansk and Donetsk. We will sanction members of the Russian parliament who voted for the illegal decision to recognize these so-called republics. We will ban Canadians from engaging in purchases of Russian sovereign debt. And we will apply additional sanctions on 2 state-backed Russian banks and prevent any financial dealings with them. I am also authorizing a deployment of up to 460 members of the Canadian Armed Forces to Operation Reassurance. This involves more troops to Latvia, as well as the deployment of an additional frigate and maritime patrol aircraft.
To reconsider.
A proposed U.S.-Russia summit over Ukraine has been called off by the White House, according to Press Secretary Jen Psaki on Tuesday.
At this point, that is certainly not in the plans.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, along with his French counterpart, canceled respective meetings with Russia's foreign minister after weeks of diplomacy failed to end the crisis.
Now that we see the invasion is beginning, and Russia has made clear its wholesale rejection of diplomacy, it does not make sense to go forward with that meeting at this time.
Western nations and Japan have also punished Russia with new sanctions for ordering troops into separatist regions of eastern Ukraine. Canada and Australia have joined the U.S., EU, Britain, and Japan with plans to target Russian banks and the wealthy. Germany, meanwhile, halted a major pipeline project from Russia. All have threatened to go further if Moscow launched an all-out invasion of its neighbor. Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered more than 150,000 troops near Ukraine's borders, according to U.S. estimates, and ordered soldiers into the separatist Donetsk and Luhansk regions to keep the peace. The U.S. dismisses the justification as nonsense.
To put it simply, Russia just announced that it is carving out a big chunk of Ukraine.
On Tuesday, President Joe Biden announced military plans to bolster NATO's eastern flank. An official told Reuters that would see 800 infantry soldiers and up to 8 F-35 fighter jets move up to the area. Putin has said he's open to finding diplomatic solutions, but that the interests of Russia won't be compromised.
We need to do this for our country.
U.S. truckers from California are taking their anger against COVID-19 restrictions out on the road. Inspired by similar protests up north in Canada, they're forming a cross-country convoy bound for Washington, D.C. 37-year-old Brian Brace from Ohio is a co-organizer.
We are assembling here at this stadium here in California, whoever can make it. And then we're convoying out tomorrow at 11 a.m. We'll start eastbound on I-40, heading east and working our way up to Washington, D.C. We expect the convoy to grow by the thousands.
Calling themselves the People's Convoy, the truckers plan to drive over 2,500 miles over 11 days, a journey that will cost thousands of dollars in gas and lost earnings. But drivers like 61-year-old Ron Coleman from Nevada think their cause is worth the sacrifice.
We're doing this not just for truckers, we're doing this for everyone. It doesn't matter the color of your skin or your political affiliation or how you identify sexually, none of that matters. Whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated, it does not matter. Choice. We have our own choices, and that's what we want back.
The trucker protests in Canada paralyzed parts of the capital, Ottawa, for more than 3 weeks. The D.C.-bound convoy is expected to arrive in the U.S. Capitol on March 5th, according to organizers. Pentagon spokesman John Kirby said Tuesday they are considering a request to send in National Guard troops ahead of their arrival.